Hello, I'm Stephanie. I'm so glad to be with you today. Just another yoga short today, and we're going to be talking about this mind-body connection. In yoga, it is more than just exercise. We're wanting to listen to our bodies and find the patterns that how our bodies are behaving, how we're responding to things emotionally, mentally. So the whole goal of yoga is to make this union, this yoke between the mind and the body. So we're going to take a few poses and look at those today and go through some mindful breathing also. So join me on your mat wherever you're at. So whenever people are beginning to think of this mind-body connection, they don't even realize maybe that they don't have very much awareness of their bodies. I didn't realize this at all when I first started practicing yoga. And what actually brought me to the yoga world was an accident in my back. I had stressed my body so hard and so much that I didn't even realize that I was herniating a disc in my spine. And so that's kind of what sent me on my journey to start yoga, to look for some healing. And so I'm wanting to be able to help you not do those things. So maybe doing some more preemptive things, looking into the body. So as we're beginning our practices, I always like to start taking a few moments just to make that mind-body connection. And if you're brand new to yoga, or you've never really thought of yoga as more than just an exercise, this might be foreign to you. So all we're doing is mentally going through the body and looking at the different joints, the different muscles, and seeing how they're feeling. We're not trying to be hypochondriacs, but we just want to see what's going on. And as we do this over and over again, we practice this mind-body connection, we start to notice things a little bit more. And then we can take that off the mat into our everyday lives as we're moving around, as we're picking things up and putting things down and just walking around. We notice how our bodies are feeling so we can catch ourselves when we're not engaging the correct muscles or we're maybe tweaking things in a wrong direction. So we're going to start practicing this, taking some moments to look through the body. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. And you can come to any kind of comfortable seated position. And we're just going to begin to breathe. You're taking big inhales through the nose and exhales through the nose. And this is creating heat in the body. And it's also bringing some awareness to the control of your breath. So you're staying here in your body and not going up into the brain and begin to think about this or that and all these different things. So as you're breathing, feeling big, deep, full breaths, whole body expands on the inhale. And belly button pulls into spine, feeling a little bit more engagement on the exhale. Continue with this breath, starting at the very top of the head. Just looking and listening there to see if we find anything that might be a little tight. Moving down to the neck. What's going on there today? And when you hear me mention or have heard me say before, is there anything talking there? All I'm meaning by that is there a body part that feels a little tight? Can you feel it pulling? Is it maybe spasming? So it's just kind of chatting. It's talking to you. But we want to change our mindset instead of saying that's a bad body part or there's my bad knee or bad hip. We want to treat it more like a child. It just wants some extra attention. So it's chatty, it's talkative, and we're sending our awareness there and just letting it know, yes, I hear you. I see what's going on. So we're moving on down through the neck to the shoulders, down the spine, into the hips, into the glutes. Mentally looking through the body, visualizing going down through the legs, the back of the legs, the hamstrings, to the front of the legs, the quads, down into the kneecaps, both the front and the back. Continuing down the legs to the shins, to the backside, to the calves, the ankles and toes. And coming back up through the body to the arms, the elbows, the wrists, the fingers. And if you're feeling anything talking, you're feeling that extra chatter, mentally imagine your breath traveling to that specific part of your body. And just imagine things calming down. So you're using your breath. You're using this mental energy to send to that part, just to calm down. You might notice the muscles start to lengthen and let go a little bit, or maybe the spasming stops. So these are things that we do at the very beginning of our practices a lot of time, just to check in where we're at for this time, not where we were yesterday, not where we hope to be in the future, but where we actually are, just being in the truth of where we are. So with that in mind, we're going to begin to take a little bit of movement. One of the postures that we can come to when we're starting to make this mind-body connection and listening to the body is standing forward fold. So when we're coming to standing forward fold, we're wanting to keep both halves of the body very long and tall. But some of the things you might be seeing or feeling in your body is as you're reaching down, I see a lot of people curving through the back, and then they're reaching down and they're saying, I can't go down. It just does not happen. And maybe you just have shorter arms and that's why, or super long legs paired with shorter arms. So instead of thinking, I just need to get down, I need to get down, I need to get down, think instead of I need to create a little bit more engagement and length in the torso. That's why we always come back up in our sun salutation to this halfway lift. We want to lengthen. So finding this length, and then as we let go, we continue to reach down through our crown, making any modifications that we need to. So beginning to be aware, are the hamstrings feeling tight? Is that why I'm having trouble getting down? Is it the fact that I'm curving my spine and that's why I can't get down? Or maybe it's just the fact that I was made with shorter arms. So maybe bring the floor up to you. You can place blocks on the ground in front of you. So here's your ground. It's come up a lot higher. So this is where I'm going. This is my standing forward fold here. One other thing you can do also, if you're still having problems with standing forward fold, bringing some awareness to your body, is just flip it. So we're going to look at the same posture, just in a seated position. So nice, tall, long spine. Hands come by your hips and reaching up through your crown. So you're not pressing, but you're finding this length. And as you're lengthening up, can you pull the core in? We want to keep this length, keep this length, keep this length. Soften the knees. This is the same as softening the knees in your standing forward fold. And this is also going to not make the hamstrings quite as tight. So it's not going to pull on your low back as you're going forward. And this time, we're going straight forward instead of down towards the floor. So find something to grab onto. Maybe the mat, maybe the shins, the ankles, maybe the toes. Keep the soft bend in the knees. Inhale, reach up through your crown and forward. Lengthen, 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 lengthen. Keep reaching forward, 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 forward. Keeping a soft bend in your knees if you need to, or maybe they begin to straighten. So finding the similarities here, just listening, holding for a little bit. Can you feel the stretch in the hamstrings? There is a stretch happening there. Or are they so tight that I need to soften my knees even more? Can I pull the core in to protect the low back? Or am I arching forward? Reaching, 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 reaching forward. So this is just a different posture that we can take to our standing forward fold. Another one that we can take a lot of times is people will come in a class to pigeon. This is a very, very deep hip opener. And a lot of times people, when they come to this place, don't realize how tight their hips are, and they will set up where they're rocking to one side or the other and say, okay, I'm in pigeon. There I am. But the goal of pigeon is to align the hips. So right now, I'm rocked way over to the right. My left hip is much, much higher than my right. So to make this a little bit more accessible, if I'm really tight, I'm going to bring my right foot in closer to my hip, grab a block or a pillow or something, and put some height underneath my right hip. So I'm bringing my right hip up to meet my left hip. And this is going to take a little bit more, give a little bit more height to that side. So this may be an option. Even here, if you're still rocking way over to the right. Again, change it, flip it, taking pigeon maybe on the back. So you can come all the way down to your back. And we're wanting to open the right hip. So the right ankle is going to go over the left knee. Engage your toes. That shortens the shin here, protects the kneecap. Instead of thinking, I've got to square the hips. The hips are already square. They're on the ground. Then I can just concentrate on pressing my kneecap away. I'm pressing my ankle into my thigh and feeling the stretch there. So taking it baby steps. So maybe I come to here and I'm just working. I'm working here using the breath. Maybe the knee is not pressing out very much, so I'm going to stay on my back. Maybe every time I'm cued to come to pigeon. If your knee is in line with your ankle, you can start to take it a little bit further. Maybe you thread the needle. Your right hand can come between the legs, left hand behind. You can grab behind the left hamstring. You can grab to the front of the left shin, and you'll notice this becomes a little bit deeper hip opening in the right side, and I don't have to worry again about squaring my hips. Both hips are on the mat. So that's another option that you can come to as you're beginning to listen to your body. But as you're beginning to listen to your body, always coming back to this idea of being truthful with what you're finding. We want to begin to challenge ourselves and grow, but to be in the truth of where we're at. I think a lot of times we can get into trouble when we try to make ourselves look like some of these Instagram yoga poses instead of making the pose for ourselves, making the pose accessible for our bodies. So there's no one particular way that standing forward fold has to look. You can add blocks. You can soften the knees. You can widen the stance. There's no one particular way that pigeon needs to look. You can flip it on its back. You can thread the needle, take all different options, maybe put a block underneath the hip. So we're beginning to really listen to the body and protect it and letting those things go and working with that mind-body connection. We can begin to deepen our practice, deepen the way that we're listening to our own body. So I hope that helps explain a few of the things of what we've been talking about in yoga. Thank you so much for being with me this evening. Blessings and namaste.